call the meeting to order. Good morning, everyone. Short agenda today. Well, turn it over to Tom for the first item on the agenda.
All right, first item on the agenda is the annual vote on the corporate officers. We do this every January, and it's the same list as previous years. Jessica as the corporate secretary, Beth as our treasurer, Doug as our vice president, and myself as the president. Any questions on that? Second item on the agenda is an emergency capital project. The pump motor, the well pump motor at Dogwood failed. I sent you the updated number. The first number I gave you was a verbal quote, which turned out to be not very accurate. The second one, I've provided you with the actual quote, and you'll notice I included a 10% contingency because I just wanted to make sure in case they find something weird, something out of the ordinary, unexpected. So we're asking for $20,750 to come out of the emergency capital fund to allow us to replace this. This is for our irrigation pond. Very thankful that the motor failed in the winter, not during the middle of summer when we would desperately need to replace it immediately. So, and this is one where we have not, often when it's an emergency project, we've already gone forward and purchased it, and we ask for permission after the fact. This one we have not, because it's the middle of winter, we're not irrigating. So any questions on that?
I do.
Yeah.
Do we get multiple quotes on these kind of things?
We try our best, but there's not a lot of companies that offer this service.
Like just a well service? It's a well pump, right?
Yeah, but it's a company that has to come in with a crane and pull it out.
Sure.
And do the whole thing. So we try and get multiple bids when we can.
Okay.
How did you discover it? I mean, it's winter, right? You're not doing anything.
I'd have to ask.
Oh, it's curiosity
I'd have to
only.
ask Graham, and
I
Graham's not.
They are irrigating,
Yeah.
but just not near as frequently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any additional questions? I can have Graham attend the regular meeting next week. I'm sure he'd love to be here at first thing in the morning and at 6 o'clock in the
I
evening.
mean, I'm not in disagreement that it needs to be done. I just thought since we're not on a time press, we could probably shop. Maybe that just sounds like a reasonable thing to me.
The next one is, this was covered at the Rules and Regulations Committee meeting. This is policy 5.05. And subsequent to that meeting, we actually covered this with the board, and there was a couple suggested modifications, and you'll see on in your packet where we have added that they must present a certificate of insurance coverage covering the term of the registration. The certificate of insurance must meet or exceed the minimum insurance coverage required by the state of registration. So if we have someone that registers their boat in another state and their standard is different than Arkansas's, we're at least asking them to have the minimum, if not more than that. And we included that for the temporary ones, which is in section B, 3B. And then I think everything else stayed the same. And this would go into effect for 27, but we would start notifying our membership this year so that they would not get surprised when it kicks in next year.
I have a couple comments and questions on this. For clarification, when it says boats located, moored, stored, or operated, when I registered my boats yesterday or the day before, there was some confusion in the office about if it's not stored in the Bella Vista storage or a boat slip or stored on the lake anytime throughout the year when they bring their boat, then they could register it without a late fee. And I'm just curious if that's the correct interpretation.
Say
For
that
example,
again.
if they store it in a non-Bella Vista storage facility and then bring it in March or April to operate and need to get it permitted, are they late? Because there was a little confusion in the office about, if this only applies to those that are stored.
Well, if you're renting a marina slip, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
On having. the
and I
late
think
fee.
I think they're not talking about storage as in RV storage in this, because it says on or above lakes, meaning if you get above is, because you have some docks, like my neighbor's dock, has a lift and pulls it above the water.
So if it's stored at the
RV
POA
storage.
storage, they can come in anytime during the year and not be late when they decide to use it, to permit, to register.
Well, they would have
it.
to get a day permit.
No,
No, you're talking about registering,
registering your boat
excuse me,
for
registering your
use
boat
for
after.
2027.
Right.
If I store it and don't pull it out of my storage at the POA storage site, can I go in on April 1st? Well, actually, in this case, let's say March 1st, and not be late? Because before I could. Am I not being clear?
Well, I think we're talking about two different things possibly. Because we're talking about being late if you're using the marina, if you're gonna have a slip at the marina.
Totally understand.
So you're saying you wanna use the slip at the marina?
No.
If you have in
No,
your,
I totally understand.
if you have in your garage,
Okay.
Yes, if you have it in your garage, it's a
you're
better
not
example.
late.
But we're not penalizing people
No.
for when you you just can't be on the lakes without registering your boat.
Correct.
We
So,
would be,
I'm
pe-
getting
we
all
would
right.
penalize people,
I,
even if it's not on the
That's not what
lake.
you're
If they
asking.
don't come in and register their boat before March 31st now, they're late.
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
So
you're-
in
but we're
next,
not
Unless
next
it's a new,
year,
unless it's a new registration.
right.
But we're not
Other than that.
changing that though, are we? We're not messing with that part of it the way I understand it. It's just to deal with the slips.
Okay, so I'm tracking with you now. I wasn't tracking before. Sorry, it's 9:00 in the morning. But, so, yes, you store your boat in your garage and it's already been registered. This is a third, fourth year you've registered your boat. You register it late, you're late
Define late.
after
January
January
15th.
15th.
Right now, March
Okay,
31st.
so we are saying that if you operate on the lake, if you operate your boat on the lake like this says, and you come in January 30th to register it, you're late.
If you're re-registering,
Okay, that is
You're
not
late.
how, I don't think member services completely
Well,
interpret
we're
that. So
making
probably
this-
need to talk about it a
correct,
little
and
bit
we're
more.
just, Shelley is aware of these changes because we've asked for her input, but she hasn't necessarily gone to her staff and shared all this information.
Same with kayaks.
Yes. 'cause
So
that's-
basically, anything that you normally would register to use on the water needs to be registered by January 15th, no matter where
Correct.
you store it.
Correct.
If it's a re-register.
Technically, they're supposed to re-register before the first of the year because it expires, but we give them to the 15th.
Now, that brings up another question.
Okay.
In conversations, is there a way that you can come in December of '26 and
Yes,
register?
I did.
Well, that will be helpful, I think,
Yeah.
to eliminate the mass convergence of people trying to get it in 2 weeks.
And then
So maybe we can communicate that
December
as well.
tends to be one of our busiest months at Member Resources because people are re-upping their golf, they're re-upping their boat. They're paying, we have a lot of people that pay for their assessments and year blocks. So December tends to be a very busy month for us.
I have a question about the present current proof of insurance. It says present a certificate of insurance covering the term of registration. So like my husband went in, got ours renewed in December for this coming year. But one of our pontoon boats renews in March, the other one renews in June. So my insurance card is only gonna show till March for one of the boats. So I'm not gonna be able to comply with this because my insurance card's not gonna say March of the following year. I just wonder if we don't need to reword this.
I would agree.
yeah, we
agree.
discussed that at the general about having proof
And
at time of.
And I'm not entirely sure that for somebody getting an annual registration, if it should even be necessary, because you can't get a state registration without proving to the state that you have insurance.
Correct.
Now, this would, since the boat registration is good for 2 years, this would kind of be a good idea, just because you're ensuring that they didn't just buy insurance and then cancel.
And that's what we were trying to avoid, is someone that registers their boat with the state, two different types of registration, registers it with the state, shows proof of insurance, and then cancels it immediately, and then that boat's uninsured for, so we're trying to say is we want to see proof of insurance every year. But I agree, people are going to be renewing, their renewal is going to be all over the place. So this needs to be changed.
Anything else on policy 5.05? Nope. Okay. Open forum, no emails, Jessica? Correct. Okay. That brings us to the end. Almost a record. Almost. Anybody got anything else before we go into announcements? Okay. The next Board of Directors regular session is next Thursday, January 22nd at 6 here in the boardroom and live stream. The next Recreation JAC meeting is Monday, February 9th at 4 p.m. here in the boardroom and live stream. The third and final board candidate informational meeting is Tuesday, February 10th at 4 p.m. here in the boardroom. Our next GM meeting is February 12th at 2:30 here in the boardroom. That is a closed meeting. February 11th is the next Lakes JAC meeting at 2 p.m. here in the boardroom and live stream. Golf JAC meeting, their first one of 2026, is February 11th at 4 p.m. The board candidate application packets are due to the corporate secretary on Monday, February 16th at 4 p.m. by 4 p.m. And our next work session is the 19th at 9 here in the boardroom and live stream. And then our February regular board meeting is the February 26th at 6 p.m. That took longer than our agenda. If nobody has anything else, we're adjourned.